Welcome back to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another stream. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Bitcoin is at $66,000. So we want to talk about Bitcoin, but we also want to talk about a monthly close. We're about to get a monthly close in the next couple hours, and I want to talk about some accumulation strategies in this bear market, and I also want to share with you guys. Something else that if you don't want a dollar cost average until the bear market is over, I want to share with you exactly what you can do that is extremely profitable. But you're gonna have to hold on to the position for minimum about 2 years. It's a very simple strategy using one moving average, nothing else. Extremely reliable, extremely profitable. So stick around. But welcome back to the channel again. Hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. Bitcoin is trading at $66,000. Earlier today we had a dip. Earlier today we had this drop right here. This was because of what is going on in Iran or Iran. But I think the correct pronunciation is Iran. Iran. Am I doing it right, chat? Yeah, we had this drop right here because the U.S. and Israel are nuking Iran, and Iran has responded. So BTC had a negative reaction, but the price has recovered. We've broken above $65,000. So we'll talk about what this price action could potentially mean in the short term. But in terms of the bigger picture, we are in a bear market, and there's nothing that we can do about this. So yeah. But welcome back. This one is going to be a really good live stream. I want to talk about strategies. Last couple weeks, maybe couple months, I've talked about staying away from this market, staying on the sideline. As much as you want to stay on the sideline, at some point you are going to have to get back into the market. At some point you are going to have to buy something. It is the only way to make profits in the market. You have to participate. So as much as I talk about staying on the sideline, protecting your capital, not blowing up your account, we also have to talk about what is important, and that is participating in the market. You got to buy something. If you want to make profits, you have to buy something. So I want to share with you guys two strategies. Very simple. If you have a strategy and it's complicated, you are doing it wrong. If you have a strategy and it's very complicated and you can't explain it to someone in a couple of seconds, you need to strip down your strategy. You need to go back. You need to get rid of what is unnecessary. You need to get rid of the distractions. You need to get rid of the complexity. Make it simple. It's gotta be simple. It's gotta be easier to understand. It's gotta be easier to teach. So I'm gonna share with you guys two strategies that you can utilize to get back into this market. So yeah, subscribe to the channel if this is your first time right here. Hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. Subscribe to the channel if this is your first time here. If you're watching the stream, hit the like button, and let's see if a few more people can join us. But let me actually let me post this on X. Maybe we get a few more people to join us. But once again, I hope you guys are having an amazing weekend. Bitcoin is at $66,000. In the next couple hours, we are going to get a monthly close. The monthly candle is not looking good, so this is not bullish at all. Within the next couple hours, in less than 5 hours, we're getting a monthly close. So I want to talk about, closing below $74,000, what this could mean for the price of Bitcoin in 2026. And, we'll also talk about the short term. But just give me a second, guys. Let me post the link of the stream on X. Let's see if we can get a few more people to tune in. Live right now. All right, let me see. Hit the like button, subscribe if you're new. If you have some stuff that you would like me to analyze, put them in the chat. Anyways, all right, let's get it. Let's get it. So, $66,800 is the price of Bitcoin right now, and I'm on the monthly time frame. This right here, guys, is about to be another negative month in 2026. It's about to be another negative month since October of 2025. So Bitcoin is breaking a major monthly uptrend that was started back in December of 2022. Since December of 2022, Bitcoin, has maintained this beautiful uptrend. It's right here, guys. Higher highs, higher lows, and I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you what those are. So this is a higher high right here. This is another higher high. Here's another one right here. And then you have some higher lows. This is 1. This is 2. This is 3. So every single one of these pullback stayed above, the previous low. So this pullback right here was higher than the previous pullback. This pullback right here was higher than this previous pullback. This pullback right here was also higher than this pullback right here. This is what we call an uptrend. This is what we call higher highs and higher lows. So for the very first time, guys, Bitcoin on the monthly is no longer in an uptrend. Bitcoin on the monthly has broken below its previous higher low. So going below $74,000 and closing below $74,000 is not something that you want to see if you are, bullish on the price of Bitcoin. If the bulls want to, maintain this uptrend, then we need to close above $74,000, within the next 5 hours, I believe, right? So what is the time right now? Within the next 4 hours. Is it 4 hours? 3 hours. Within the next 3 hours. No, 4 hours. If Bitcoin, if the bulls want to, put this monthly uptrend, back on track, we need to close above $74,000 within the next 4 hours. And of course, the upcoming months, we need to see the price of Bitcoin, go back into the $100,000, $126,000 range. So this right here is what we call a change in the structure. All right. The structure has now changed, for the first time since December of 2022. And this is now what you want to see, if you're bullish on Bitcoin. So what does this mean? All right. What does this mean for Bitcoin moving forward? Well, what it means is that we are more likely to see something that looks very similar to this. In the last bear market, after losing $28,000, we got this right here. All right. If you go back to the 2018, go back to the 2018 bear market after, after losing $5,000, which is right here, we got this right here. In the 2014 bear market, what is 2014? 2014 is right here. After losing about, $340, after losing $340, we got this right here. So basically, what this means is that we are right now officially in the final phase, price-wise, in the final phase of this bear market. We have officially begun the final phase of the bear market, guys. Because if you look at the last bear market, after going below the previous lows, we enter the final phase of the bear market, price-wise, not time-wise, price-wise. All right, you look at 2014 bear market. After the structure was broken, 2018 bear market, after the structure was broken, this was the beginning of, the final phase of the bear market. You go back to 2014, after the previous lows was taken out, this was the final phase of the bear market. So, in my opinion, we have officially entered the final phase of the 2026 bear market. Price-wise, not time-wise. We are going to talk about time-wise. So, my expectation is that we are going to see a continuation, of this, monthly downtrend for the next several months. All right, this could be about, easily another 4 to 6 months. I believe we are entering the final phase of this bear market price-wise. Now, I'm not expecting this to be a straight line. I am actually expecting some green candles sometimes very soon. I'm talking about on the monthly, guys. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have about 5. Well, it's not about. We have exactly 5 consecutive red monthly candles. I think we are going to, we're going to mix it up. I think at some point, maybe it's the month of April, March or April. I believe we are going to see a green monthly candle. And this is the relief rally that I have talked about, right? I have been talking about a relief rally from the low $50,000 range, after we take out $60,000. But I want to stay on the monthly for just a moment. This right here is exactly what a bear market looks like. And the reason I say this right here is exactly what a bear market looks like is because unfortunately, all right, unfortunately, some people still believe that we are not in a bear market, which is okay with me. Right? But unfortunately, there's those out there who are still pushing this narrative that every pullback is a buy opportunity. In a bear market, pullbacks are not buy opportunities. In a bear market, there's only a couple of things you can do. Actually, two things actually. You stay on the sideline or you short Bitcoin. Either you are shorting the market or you're not participating in the market. Those are the look, if you want rule number 1, you got to survive. In a cryptocurrency market, in a bear market, you have to try to survive. Forget about profits. Right? Worry about profits after survival. So, $66,000, a major key support was taken out. Not only was the major key support taken out, we are about to get a monthly close below this major key support that was broken. This is exactly what a bear market looks like. And not once, guys, have we broken below a major support level on the monthly. And straight after, we started the next bull market. Not once in the history of Bitcoin. Every time we've taken out an important support on the monthly, we started the next phase or the last phase of the bear market. So we have officially begun the last phase of this bear market price-wise, not time-wise. Time-wise, I believe we are early, super, super early, and we have all 2026. All right, at least the bare minimum, we have until sometimes early fall 2026. To me, that is the bare minimum time-wise. Anyways, I want to go down on the lower time, and I want to talk about what we have right here. Tomorrow we are going to have a weekly close. Last week we closed around $67,000. I believe we are going to close below $67,000. And not only that, I also believe that we are finalizing the consolidation in this range right here. And we are about to dump into the $50,000 range. These are my beliefs right here. The month of March is going to be very interesting. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why. Going back to the monthly, we just said that we have 5 consecutively, red monthly candles. I believe, all right, and I'm okay if I'm wrong on this. I believe between March and April, I'm going to start with March. I believe March is going to be green. I believe March is going to be green. And I'm going to try to paint a picture. I'm going to try to show you how I envision the month of March. Now, this is just based on my opinion. This is not based on, technical analysis. Technical analysis doesn't predict what the month of March is going to do. This is just my opinion based on, how I'm observing the current price action. But let me just kind of try to make a prediction. Don't take it to the bank. This is not financial advice. Just don't do anything with it. But I believe the month of March is going to look like this. I think we're going to be green, but I think it's going to look like this. I believe early March, I'm going to give it about the first 2 weeks. I believe the price of Bitcoin is going to dump into the low $50,000 range. I think first 2 weeks of March, we're dumping into the low $50,000. Let's call it $49,000 is the low of of this dump. I'm just gonna do this right here, guys. 49,000, $53,000. This is an area of interest in the next 2 weeks. Just stay with me for a second, chat. To get to $53,000, it doesn't take a lot, right? Trust me, guys, it doesn't take a lot of time to get to 53,000. All you need is just one massive weekly candle, and we are $53,000. But remember, I think we closed the month of March green. I think we're going to have a green monthly candle. But I think the first 2 weeks of March, I see us dumping somewhere around here, all right, in the low $50,000 range. And then we are quickly going to get back into the $60,000 range. I think this is exactly how we end up green in the month of March. What that means is early March, we're in the low $50,000 range. Late March, we're back in the mid to the higher $60,000 range. Basically, guys, imagine something that looks like this. Imagine something that looks like this. There we go. I think this is what March is probably going to look like. And if we're not green in March, we are going to be at a place where April is green. If we're not green in March, let's say, I do think in March we're going in the low 50s though. I'm very confident in this. But if we, let's just say we go in the low 50s and then we kind of just, we work our way up, but there's just not enough volume to push the price of Bitcoin back in the 60s, then maybe March, we're somewhere in the mid higher $50,000 range. And then April, we get the price of Bitcoin somewhere back here. April, we get the price of Bitcoin somewhere back here. And then we close April somewhere around $65,000, $68,000. All right. Look, the reason behind my prediction, it is simply because when you think about going from $77,000, is 77? Yeah, 70. No, not 70. $97,000 to down here, guys. Let's call it $53,000. This is a 45% crash. All right. After a 45% drop, inside of, at the low, look towards the lows of this entire range right here. All right. It's more likely, we get a weekly relief rally, bringing the price of Bitcoin back in the $60,000 range. And then, all right, because I don't think we are going to see the entire bear market, red on the monthly. I think we're going to mix, we're going to get some green candles. We might get one or two. I'm not saying we get many, but I think we get one or two green candles. All right. The green ones, they don't have to be consecutive. If they're consecutive, I don't think you get big green candles. You might get, the little tiny ones. You might get like these ones right here. You might get this one, or you might get this right here. Like, two of these, yeah, I'm fine with that. I don't think you're going to have, something like this. Like, this is a bull market right here. But anyways, chat, I just think we're going to get support in this range right here. And right here, people are going to think that the lows of the bear market is in. Look, the same way they're looking at 60,000 and they think 60,000 is the low of the bear market. This is going to be exactly the same right here. Because the focus is going to be, surely we can't go below 49,000. The focus is going to be, we have tons of support right here in this low $50,000 range. So that means, BTC is going to hold because if you lose $50,000, Bitcoin goes back to $25,000. I think this is going to be, what the conversation sounds like once the price is here. But I don't think the lows of the bear market is going to be 50. I think we're going to be below 50,000. This is an opinion. I think we're going to be below $50,000. So let's talk about some strategies. How do you get back into this market if you are on the sideline? I think that is something that we need to talk about. Anyways, chat, subscribe to the channel, smash the like button, and let's keep it going. But hit the like and subscribe. So, how do you get back into this market if you are on the sideline? I'm going to share with you guys 2 ways to get back into this market. The first one is very simple. If the price of Bitcoin goes below $50,000, if you are someone who is 100% going to invest in the cryptocurrency market, you have to start a position below $50,000. And when I say you have to start a position, you have to make sure, at least you go 50% in. If you have $10,000 to invest in this market, you put $5,000 in Bitcoin below $50,000. So basically, you should have some buy orders from $49,000 all the way down. At $49,000, I think you go 50% in. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why. And I know some of you guys are probably thinking, I thought the price of Bitcoin is going to $39,000. That is what you said, the last time I was watching your stream. I thought we were going in the low $40,000 range. That's what you told us the last time you analyzed Bitcoin. Chat, let me be clear. Even if the bottom is $39,000, we are not in the business of catching the bottom. Even if the bottom is $42,000, let's say we have predicted the Bitcoin is going to 42,000, and that's exactly where we go. We're not in the bottom catching the bottom. We are not in the business of catching the bottom. And I guarantee you, most of us, 99.99% of us, will not get the opportunity to catch the exact bottom of the bear market. So the strategy should always be, let me try to get in as low as I can possibly, let me try to get in as early in a bull market or as late in a bear market as I possibly can, because I am not in the business of trying to time the bottom of any asset. Below $50,000 is very attractive because when you think about how far that is from the all-time highs, you go from once $26,000 to $50,000. This is a Bitcoin that is going to be already down 60%. This is a Bitcoin that is already going to be down 60%, guys. So anything below $50,000, you are in the early minority of the next bull market. You're not in the early majority, guys. You are in the early minority. These are the investors. When Bitcoin was at $3,000 in 2018, these are the investors that were brave enough, all right, that were brave enough to buy Bitcoin. These are the investors when BTC was around $3,500 in 2020, the COVID drop. These are the guys that were brave enough to buy Bitcoin. These are the guys when BTC was around 16, 17, $15,000 in 2022 that bought Bitcoin. These are the same investors in 2015 around $200, $300 that bought Bitcoin. So you are in the early minority of those that are participating in the next bull market. Let me show you what Bitcoin below $60,000 looks like, using the past bear markets. If you look at the last bear market, $69,000. If we go down 60,000, you are looking at a $27,000 Bitcoin. If you would have bought $27,000, if you would have went in 50% right here, and then you use your other 50% of dollar cost average all the way down to $15,000, your average is probably around $21,000. If your average is $21,000 and you exit at $105,000, let's see your profits. You got in at 21, you cash out 105. This is almost a 400% move. 400% profits in this bull market. You are among the top performers in Bitcoin. You were among the top performers in this bull market, guys, if you were able to capture a 400% move. Let's go back to the 2018 bear market. In 2018, if you would have bought Bitcoin after a 60% drop, you would have started your position 50% in around $7,000. And if you would have dollar cost average the other 50%, by the time we got to the absolute lows of $3,000, your average, let's say $5,000. Chat, if your average was $5,000 going into that 2020-2021 bull market, $5,000, let's say you took profits around, let's just go with $50,000. That was a 700% profits. 700% profits. Let's go back to the 2014 bear market. 2014 bear market, you bought Bitcoin straight after the first 60% crash. 60% right here, guys, gives you an entry of exactly $480. And then the bottom is around 150 bucks. If you dollar cost average with the other 50%, I'm giving you an average of, let's go with $320. $320, that is your average. All right. In the upcoming bull market, we go from 320 to, look how crazy this one is. We go to, this one is mental. We'll go to $20,000. But let's say you took your profits exactly at $10,000. This is a 3,000% move. You have to start a position below $50,000. You have to start a position after a 60% crash from the all-time highs. All right? In the last bear market, from top to bottom, Bitcoin saw a 77% crash. We were down 77% in the last bear market. In this bear market, I think we're getting mid 60%. I think we're getting, if I have to make a prediction, I'll go with 65 to 70. If we get a 65% correction or 60% crash, 65% crash. If we get a 65% crash, you're looking at a Bitcoin that is trading around 43,000. What is the difference between buying Bitcoin at $49,000 or even at $50,000 and $43,000? I don't think there's a difference. if you ask me. $43,000, $50,000, it's the same thing. All right. So if we go down 70%, you're looking at a Bitcoin that's around $36,000. This is where if you grab a 50% of your position right here, below $50,000, this is where the other 50% that is dollar cost averaging, this is where the magic happens. This is going to drag your average price to somewhere around, let's go with $44,000. If you have a $44,000 average going into the next bull market, if in the next bull market we only, all right, if we only go up, let's call it 50% from this all-time highs right here. So a 50% move puts the price of Bitcoin somewhere around 190,000. Let's say the next bull market we're only getting a $190,000 Bitcoin. You go from 44,000 somewhere around here up to $90,000, 190,000. This is a 300% move. But let's say you take your profits exactly around $175,000. This is a 200 and almost a 300% move. This right here, guys, this is great profits. This is great profits. So this is a very simple strategy where, you're not really complicating anything. And the returns is just ridiculous. All right, returns are going to be ridiculous with this very simple strategy. Below $50,000, you start a position 50% in. Unless you believe we're going to 25,000, then it doesn't make any sense to do anything. But if you think, like I'm thinking, that this is the beginning, or this is basically, the business end of the bear market. Once we close below $74,000. If you think we are very close to the bottom, price-wise, I think grabbing a position, 50% of your capital, below $50,000. And when I say below $50,000, I'm not talking about waiting for $45,000. No, what I'm saying is at $50,000 and lower, $49,000 or just $50,000, 50% in the market. I'm not talking about your altcoins. I am only talking about Bitcoin. And if we go to 190,000 in the next bull market, and you exit around 175,000, that is a 300% profit. Notice I'm only stopping at $190,000. If the price was to go to $300,000 and you take your profits around 250, imagine what the profits looks like. And I'm going to be very clear, guys. Look, this bull market, we topped at 126,000. The next bull market, I don't think we're going anywhere above. I don't think we go to 300K. I don't think so. I think, low $200,000 range, maybe 200, but that's a different conversation. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is a really nice strategy. Straightforward. No nonsense. Nothing that's complicated. And all you have to do is buy Bitcoin just right below $50,000. Now, I want to talk about another strategy. Let me talk about another strategy. Now, this one, actually, I'm going to talk about this one next time. I think, it's best we save this one for the next time I stream. because this one I already talked about it, way before, and it makes sense we get into it the next time we stream. So appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed the stream, guys. If you have any questions, always, put them in the chat. If you guys have something going on, if there's something that you don't understand about this market and it's not looking good, comment on any other videos. Put them in the chat, and we'll go from there. All right, people. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you guys next